So the market is having a chop fest to start the week. So we're going to go over what exactly is going on, and we're going to check out some hot stocks, check out some weak stocks, and we're going to provide some tips for you guys to help you become an elite trader. So let's hop straight into it. All right, we got this 4-hour chart right there on SPY, and we want to understand where are the lows, where are the highs. All right, previously, right, we created this supply zone in this area you see here. This is about 658 to 663, about a $5 range where the price could possibly range before moving down, right? So that's a bearish perspective on the market, especially since we've been in this downtrend for some time. If I zoom out, you'll be able to see that a little bit better. All right, see that nice downtrend, which has been happening since about mid-February. All right, so right now we could continue going down because that's what the trend is telling us, but we got to respect the upside and what signals are telling us that we could go up. Well, let's dive on in, right? We got these higher lows, right? That's a sign of an uptrend. Right, notice how the lows here were getting lower and lower, so that tells you we're going down. But the shift, right, is kind of revealing itself, right, before our eyes. So we got to pay attention to the details, such as this moving average. Notice we was using this moving average, the yellow line, the 50 EMA that I talked about in my last video. This has been a resistance to help the market continue going down. But guess what? Now we are above this yellow line, which means we could continue to go up, right? The last few days we did have some bullish movement, but it still hasn't proven itself to get outside of this bearish range that we have here, right? So we could experience a lot of chop, and from that, anything could happen. So just looking at the moving averages, we could assume that the market is likely to continue moving up just because it's above, right? The same way how we could assume the market is going to continue dropping when the market is below these blue and yellow lines. All right. Right now we are above these blue and yellow lines, which is a pretty decent signal we could go up. All right. So it becomes a decision of whether you want to follow the lower lows, right, of this downtrend, and the lower highs, because the lower highs are also still intact, or if you want to take a chance and bet on these higher lows that's going on and the price being above the moving average. This is kind of a 50-50 situation to me, because both of the bullish and bearish factors kind of negate itself, especially since we're in a range, right? This is a range here created from this big candle, and you can see how the price continues to respect the range. All right, now if we're just talking about this specific range, we could push up to this level, which is at about 666, 667. Notice how we did come down to test the bottom of this range before going up. So that's just some basic range activity that we could keep on our radar. But in terms of if we happen to go up, then just pay attention to these previous highs, which are very nearby. So let's check out what stocks were actually moving today. And this is my watch list of like 80 different stocks. So app happens to be the number one stock that had the highest percentage. So Monday pretty much went up. Let me zoom out because I'm not really seeing anything too important except for this support level that has been holding up for the past month at 375. We're at 412. So last time we bounced at this, we pushed all the way up past 500. That's some good money. All right, now if this happens to go and create a higher high from this higher low, then we could go back above 500 or above 550. So keep that on your watch if you're into trading some higher price stocks. We got MicroStrategy. This one is a chop fest, but also we are at this demand zone. So I'm just going to drag this over so you guys can see that a little bit better. Notice how it is respecting the bottom of that demand zone before the push on up. All right, so let's look at another one. We got HIMS. HIMS is it's kind of a downtrend, but it's giving us the same activity as a SPY. Notice how we have this higher low forming, and we're just above that 50 EMA, so it's not showing as much of a bullish trend as yet compared to the SPY. All right, this is still a downtrend, but we do have some higher lows which could form some higher highs. All right, let's take a look at some weak stocks. SMCI had a huge drop, I believe, a couple weeks ago, and we're just ranging back and forth. So it seems like this has made a continuation to the downside, or could possibly make a continuation, because this is still inside the range. Let's take a look at the 4 hour once again to see what we are talking about. So this was the big move. This is the pullback, and we could expect the range activity, and what it's looking like it wants to do is push back down. This is a nice area for it to do it, because this is the 50 EMA, and the price has used this as resistance 2 times, which is a double top, which is a high probability of the price going down, which it did start to do today. All right, another one is Tesla. Tesla had a negative day. Definitely pushed down into one of these support levels. You can see this orange line. Most of my lines are blue, but if it's important, then I'll make it a different color. All right, so this orange one, let's take a look at where it came from. Whoa, it's a far back line. So let's go to the weekly chart. Yeah, it's a lot of lines, but the orange one specifically came from this candle here, August 11, 2025. This is the high. All right, so weekly candles are very high probability. So notice we're just testing some of the highs from this area. I know this is a crazy looking chart, so let me just change it up so you can see a little bit better. Wow, another crazy chart. So let's switch it to this one. Wow. So this is all the work that I've been doing, guys. Just charting, and it's kind of how I gained a lot of my knowledge and methods and expertise. But we have a decent looking chart here, right? So what I want to do is just draw a demand zone. We're just going to use this here, there, bow. So honestly, this is the elite level that I will be looking for the market to bounce at, but at the same time, the market could use these previous highs like it did today to bounce. All right, so let's zoom back into the 15, and being that we did close below this reaction was bullish, but it wasn't as bullish enough for me to believe that we're gonna just continue moving on up. I believe we have some more room to go down. So if I'm looking for any bearish opportunities, then I would take a look at this supply zone, and this is at about 375 to 372. The market could push up before it makes another move down. All right, so if we do happen to get above 368, that's a pretty good indication that we could be making a move up. So what I would do is just set an alert. All right, I'm gonna just right click, create alert. If it's above 367.81, then it's gonna text me and let me know that we got some action on Tesla. All right, so those are some stocks that are weak, those are some stocks that are strong, and yeah, I believe I have some tips for you guys. I got to pick one tip a day to make sure that you guys are good. And we're going to head over to the Discord community, take a look at this trading tips tab, and we're going to pull a random tip out of that hat. All right. So this one here from 2023. All right. So notice that we are trading outside of the previous range on Netflix. We went over this last night with the mentee during a one-on-one session, powerful indicator for finding stocks to trade. All right, so what do we mean by that? Let's click the picture. And when we say range, this is the high, this is the low. So anything inside of this is inside the range. Once we break outside the range, we could expect the price to continue moving on up. So I believe we went over exactly what the range is in that one-on-one session, and I believe that was the night before. So the next time we did see Netflix, it was breaking up outside of that range, which is the signal that we do have some action, and that's how you could get some nice momentum movers, because you don't want to just trade a stock that's sitting sideways, right? It's pretty hard to trade something that doesn't move, right? So if you want the highest probability of the market actually moving in your favor, then waiting for a range to break is one of those good signs that you could wait for. All right, so that's the tip for today. We're not gonna be too detailed. We're gonna save that for the courses that we provide. If you want step-by-step instructions, then just hit that link in the bio, send me a DM, follow me on Instagram, and give this video a like if you found some value, and subscribe, because we're gonna have some more videos and some fresh content coming for you guys. All right, so I will catch you in the next one, and have a blessed day. Peace.